welcome to MapleWoodian.com podcast. We have on the phone David Wagner, one of the co-founders of Rent Party. How you doing, David?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Joe?
Good. You know, people may not know everything about Rent Party, so we wanted to have you on to sort of give everyone all the story on the great work you do. The Rent Party signs are around town, and it's usually Rent Party today or tonight or this week. And but for people who don't know, what is the sort of the background on the group? First of all, when was it founded?
Right.
Why, and what do you do today?
Right. Okay. So the signs are Rent Party this Friday.
Right.
And we always put them down on the Saturday before the next Rent Party, so everybody knows. And those came about probably maybe 6 months into the run of Rent Party. Basically, my friend Chris Dixon and I, Chris Dixon used to do a thing called Battle of the Basement Bands for many years.
Sure, we recall that.
Okay, yep. So he would put this huge event together, 5 bands, 3 to 5 bands. It would be happening in the OLS gymnasium, and the bands would donate their time. They'd raise money, and he started doing it for Habitat for Humanity. But soon after that, when Chris and I became friends, our daughters were in 2nd grade, and we started taking them over to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey in Hillside, which is an amazing organization.
Yes, no, I've known about them for many years as well.
Yeah, they're quite astounding what they're able to do. And we kind of fell in love with what they did, and they educated us on the hunger fight, and all of a sudden our heart became more towards local hunger fighting. And after one of the Battle of the Basement Bands, there's a famous email from Chris to me saying, hey, right across the street is the South Orange Elks. It doesn't look like it gets used too much, and maybe we could do something like this once a month to help raise money to fight hunger in the community.
So it was created in, I believe, 2009?
2009, exactly.
So we're looking at about just over 5 years.
Exactly. We're in season 6 right now.
And then, so for those who don't know, those who would go to the Rent Party, you get some entertainment, but you donate as well, correct?
Right. So it's basically $5 at the door.
Right.
The more you give, the better you feel.
Sure. And then the money goes to what, for those who don't know?
All the money goes to fighting hunger locally. So when we first started, we would just basically, end of the night, cut the money in half and split the donation to the OLS Food Pantry in South Orange and the St. Joseph's Food Pantry in Maplewood.
So it's basically OLS, Our Lady of Sorrows.
Yes.
And St. Joseph. And the food pantries do what? They basically...
Food pantries, so the Our Lady of Sorrows gives out a food to struggling families every Saturday, and St. Joseph's gives it out once a month on the 3rd Saturday of every month. So families that are struggling in our towns can line up there and register and get food and help they need from those 2 pantries.
And for those who want to find out more about it or ways to donate, your website is rentpartylive.com.
Exactly. Rentpartylive.com. And so what we started to do is help support them. Unbeknownst to us, they were struggling mightily, and in fact, St. Joseph's credits Rent Party with saving it from going under.
That's amazing.
Coming pretty regularly from us. And because this town really supported what we're doing by loving coming to see these local bands, for $5, cheap drinks at the Elks. You had a great night out, and all the money we did went to raising hunger. We have no payroll. We're all volunteer, and to this day, even now that we're a not-for-profit, we're still an all-volunteer organization. So all the donations, all the money we raise goes to fighting hunger.
And then for those the food pantry, how do they provide? Do they provide meals for people, or is it just a lot of groceries? People come in and get them?
It's all shelf-stable food, except in Thanksgiving they usually get some frozen turkeys. So, yeah, they do grocery bags. I'm not sure exactly how many per family. That's something you'd have to contact the food pantries about. But they provide groceries. St. Joseph's delivers them to the elderly center, what's the name? Nora Gardens. So they're very active. I mean, another volunteer organization, both of them, that are able to keep going and continually, month after month, provide food for people in our community.
And how much have you guys raised each year since it started, or even overall?
Right.
Give people an idea.
In the beginning, the first year, things were going really well, but as we grew and grew, the money kept coming in, and we thought, are there other ways in which we can fight hunger in our community? Because it seemed like just splitting the check down the middle we might be able to find more creative ways to help fighting hunger. I would have to say the first year, I'm not sure if I remember the numbers correctly, but it was maybe 30 to 40,000.
And that went straight to the food pantry.
Yeah, those checks went right down the middle to the food pantry. But then, as the second year approached, we found out about something that was happening all over the country, called like backpack pals or backpack buddies.
Yes.
In which these kids were coming to school on Monday morning, and the teachers were noticing they're lethargic. And usually, these are the kids on the reduced lunch or free lunch program, and they found out they weren't eating well on the weekends. So a lot of these communities had this organization where they would get a weekend's pack worth of food, deliver them to the schools, and let the kids use those over the weekend so that they could come to school a little more refreshed. So we figured, well, maybe we can do that in our community. We weren't sure of the need, but we approached the social workers and found that there was, in fact, some need, and now we're in our fourth year doing that. And right now this year we're providing 74 kids every weekend with food, and that's about to go up, I think, by at least 10 kids.
And that's throughout the district?
Throughout the district. We're in 6 different schools this year. Last year we were in 7. So we're at the Maplewood Middle School, Seth Boyden, Jefferson, South Mountain, and there's one, Clinton.
And I think I do recall running into you guys once at the middle school when you were dropping off the lunches.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you did. And I got a great team of volunteers on Friday morning. We meet at the St. Joe's Food Pantry where they allow me to store all of my food, and we drive out to we separate it and drive out to the schools. And
what about the amount of money you got these days each year? If that first year was about $30,000, what do you think it is 5 years later now?
Yeah, 5 years later. I guess last year would be the year, because we start our year in October when we September when we start doing the shows. And now that we're a 501c3, we're also getting outside donations. We're starting to get a little better at finding grant money out there. I'm not sure the exact number of last year, but it was upwards of the $60,000 mark.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. And this is all, if you give money, it's tax deductible.
Absolutely.
So that's always a help. And then again, on the website, rentpartylive.com, you go to the top, donate. It's big letters. Click that on, and it's right there. You can even donate with your credit card. And it couldn't be simpler. But if you also want to get a little entertainment for your buck, there's the shows that are... Now, you're running about how many each Friday, one Friday a month, or it depends on the month?
So our motto is the second Friday every month. That's why we're able to do this
right
alongside.
And the next one will be Friday, November 14th.
Correct.
And this is also some interesting, exciting news. First of all, the concerts are no longer at the Elks, right? They're now at the Woodland, which is the former Women's Club. Tell us about how that came about.
Well, it was a great opportunity where the Woodland, the town bought the Woodland.
Right, and people know about that they took it over, and there's been a lot of great events going on there.
Absolutely, and they're really looking to revitalize that building. It's such a great location, such a beautiful old building, and they actually approached us and said, hey, would you like to do your rent parties here? And we were actually starting to outgrow the Elks at the time. We were getting a little worried about the amount of people. We had to start turning people away, so it was a perfect synergy. And we decided, let's make that our new home. And we had our first one last month. It went fantastic. The mayor was there. A huge crowd showed up, and it was our regular rent party, 3 bands, 3 local bands. It was still $5. We're going to keep it like that. The Rotary helped us run a bar there, so you can still have cheap drinks. And it was just a great, great night, and it was a lot of fun. Now, what we also do is we started to get headliners to come in. Now, these guys we have to pay.
Yes.
So our ticket price goes up to $25.
Which is still a great deal.
It's an incredible deal.
Yeah. And for people who haven't been in the Woodland, we did a big tour a couple months ago. That's also on our website, where we went in with a video camera, and they took us around. And people who haven't been there, they don't know the acoustics in there are really good. I mean, it's a very solid sound. There's a lot of the sound really carries, and it's because it was built in many ways as a theater,
right?
And it still is. We roamed around the back. They actually have fun old lights in the back still, and the old dressing rooms, and so it's very much a theater sound in there.
Exactly, and it's a beautiful building. The ceiling is an incredible architecture, and it's cool just to have people want to come in and check out this building. And then when they stay and they see what a great rent party is, how fun it is, it's a great night out. And I'm really hoping that we help and the town helps to just really revitalize this building. And the more energy we can bring into it, the more money we can put into it and fix it up and bring it back to its former glory.
And so then the next act, Friday, November 14th, will be James Maddock and Karen Cool Band.
I mean, she's worth the price of admission alone, and she's opening up, and she's fantastic. But James Maddock has played, I think this is his third rent party, at a couple at the South Orange Elks. And if you haven't heard him, he's just this folk rock guy who's fantastic. He's going to have a full band, and it's going to be a great night. And I also think it's going to sell out. So I would urge people to go on the website and buy tickets.
You can also link to the website at rentpartylive.com, where you can buy the tickets, $25. There will be a bar there as well.
Absolutely. Cheap drinks, $5 beers, $5 wines.
That's better than you get at a ball game these days, let alone going to Broadway or somewhere, which would be even more expensive. And there's no, you just drive down the street. For those who, now what is the town charging you to use the Woodland? Do they donate it or a cheap rate? What's the cost there?
Yeah, they're donating it at a cheap rate right now. So we're getting a very cheap rate, a suggested donation depending on how well we do in the evening. And again, they're just looking to start to get people to come down.
Right. So it's a good
and
combination.
Also, they know we're a charity, and everything we do goes to fighting hunger.
And again, the key to Rent Party is also it is local families that benefit. So the money you spend or donate goes to your neighbors, essentially, which I think is a big deal for a lot of people. They want to know that the money is being used here. And then you had the Rent Party picnic. I know we went to that and got some good video of some of the acts. What was that about?
So this was our first foray out to an outdoor music concert, but mostly it was a celebration for us.
Right.
It was the end of our 5th year, and we really wanted to let maybe a group in the community that doesn't come to the rent parties, but they see the signs, or even the people who help with the Backpack Pals program, or also something I haven't mentioned, the garden that we have on the front lawn of the South Orange Elks.
Right. Anyone who drives by there on Prospect sees that big garden. How does that, now that's grown to feed people as well?
That is all of the produce from there goes to the 2 local food pantries. And this is its 3rd year, and it was a very successful year this year. And that too gets different people under our tent. So we figured maybe bring the family picnic, have people come during the day on a Saturday, and just find out what we do, and also a celebration of our town and how great it has been to support us, and all the good work that we've been able to do. So that was a fun day.
And then, so if people see it, the signs are not out all the time. They're strategically located. Tell us about that.
Well, we've also had volunteers to lease us for free their lawn space. So people who are friends of ours, who are supporters of ours, say, you can put one of your lawn signs on my lawn. And that is our only form of advertising other than flyers that we post up. And basically it says, rent party this Friday. So if you see a sign that Friday, you can go down to the Woodland and see a rent party.
How many signs do you think you have out usually?
I think we have about 70 signs out there.
But people put them out only on the weeks that the party is happening.
Yeah, I got them all on an email list, so I send out an email. And
I love that.
Here you go, guys. Can you go put your signs in? Some of them, we do it for them, so I got a few people on the team that go out and plant for us. And we pick them up the next Saturday morning after the rent party's over.
Well, if you see a rent party sign, it means that it's the next Friday is the show.
Exactly.
And they don't go out unless it's the right week to promote.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people realize that. They see the sign and sometimes they think, oh well, when is it? Well, it is when the rent party sign's out, the party is coming up that following Friday.
Right. I think more people are confused of actually what it is. All kinds of things. They think maybe the person at the house is hosting a party to help them pay their rent.
I know, because that's the old tradition of the rent party is if you needed money, you got people together. But what brought the name about then, if it's rent party versus maybe food party or something else?
Well, it really was based on in the 1930s in Harlem, when people would throw parties at their house, get live music, get live entertainment.
Oh, I see, because it's still the entertainment aspect to raise money. And now, what do you say to people who may not realize how much of a hunger problem there is in our area? I mean, and a lot of it I know, you know better than I, even children who can get reduced or free lunches don't always take advantage because perhaps the families feel embarrassed, or even when they're in school, you know, they get a little nervous, people knowing that they're getting a free lunch, even though most people wouldn't care. Mm-hmm. But the fact, I don't think people realize, because we do have, South Orange and Maplewood are nice towns. There we have our low-income districts and, you know, areas where people aren't making a lot of money. But the idea of people really being hungry and missing meals sometimes doesn't really ring true because this is such a nice community.
Well, I think we're in a very unique position, and I feel extremely pleased that we were able to come forward, because you're exactly right. You're not going to consider Maplewood and South Orange as high-risk towns like, let's say, Irvington or parts of Newton, where they're getting a lot of attention and a lot of hunger-fighting initiatives are happening because the need seems to be so profound. Here, you'll have a group that is possibly falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
And it makes it almost even more devastating when you're sitting in class with somebody who's clearly not struggling at all, or a group of friends who aren't struggling at all, but you're the one who's struggling. It can be very debilitating psychologically, and I think it's very hard for people to step forward in this town and say we need help. So that's why we're very lucky as far as the Backpack Pal program goes. The social workers that are our boots on the ground, our soldiers who are recognizing the families that are struggling. Say a parent loses a job, you immediately go from a family who's struggling to a family who's in desperate need. And they know when that happens, and then we can set them up at the local food pantries to get a little extra help, and also help out their kids with the Backpack Pals program.
Excellent.
And you know, this day and age, it's a very tenuous line economically between just getting by, and just the slightest change in your situation can put you in some real danger.
Right, and these again, it's benefits the food pantries at St. Joseph's Church in Maplewood and Our Lady of Sorrows Church in South Orange, and the people who have access to these food pantries are pretty much anyone who is in need. Anyone
who's in need would show up. You can show up any Saturday morning over at OLS and inquire, how do you register? Not a lot of questions are asked.
Right.
And then for St. Joseph's, it's the third Saturday every month. You show up over there and register and get your family some help if you need it.
Excellent. And then we've been talking to David Wagner, co-founder of Rent Party, celebrating their 5th year in existence, and now into their 6th year, 5th anniversary. And the next show will be Friday, November 14th. James Maddock at the Woodland. You can find out all the information at rentpartylive.com. We will put a link on our site with this interview as well. And you can donate there if you don't have time to go to the shows, but we urge you to check them out. What are some of the other acts coming up in the weeks ahead, or are you still organizing a lot of them?
That's my other co-founder's side of the street. He books all the bands. You know, this was actually his idea. He was in a band for many years. So he knows a lot of the local band scenes, and that he's the booking agent, Chris Dixon. So he keeps that very secretive.
Okay, well, we'll be sure to update whenever there's a new one announced.
Absolutely.
And they can always...
A special one that we do every year, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. That's basically been a tradition now for 6 years. And it's usually quite a turnout. You know, kids that come home from college want to go, and so the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
So we're going to have 2 in November.
That isn't on the second Friday.
So we'll have Friday the 14th, and then Thanksgiving Wednesday. So it's a busy November.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, David, for talking to us. Again, everyone, rentpartylive.com. Get out all the information. The money goes to feed those in need. You can't do much better than that, and you get some great entertainment. And you probably feel better after you do something like this as well, because it goes to the neighbors, and some you may not even know need the food, and this is how they can get it.
Joe, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate all the work you're doing.
All right.
Take it easy.
Great day.